this looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Hello, everyone. We are going to try this yet again for the third time. Thank you for those of you who have continued to follow us on this third journey into trying to make this video, because this is really frustrating. But we're going to try again. And so, Linda.
Am I here? Am I here?
You're here. Let's see. Who's here? We look fine? Do we? Are you sure? We're going to do this. And that will be it. This is going to be it. Welcome to Soul Seekers TV. I'm Patricia Rivera-Wolfson, one of your soul guides.
I am Linda Krause-Barnett, your other soul guide. The energy is so wonked right now. I want to believe that that it's not me, but I've had quite the morning.
It's all you. It's all you. I can't, it's not just you. We are still stretchy, but that's okay. I think that we're going to, I just wish there was a way that I could record us on my phone, because on my phone, we look amazing. I don't know if anybody has any advice on that, because we look good here.
It's okay. Maybe it's only meant for here today,
Maybe.
right now.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
So we've been talking about the book E Squared by Pam Grout. Here we go. And they are 9 energy experiments to prove that your thoughts create your reality. And I think that's part of what's happening here, is that Linda and I are creating this warped reality, because that's what it feels like. Honest to God. It's been such a crazy morning, and it's been such a crazy experience that it really doesn't surprise me that our faces are completely stretched on Facebook. Okay, so Linda, why don't you introduce Abracadabra, and we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna go with it. Can you talk? Do you want to talk? No. Linda's been having a rough morning, but that's okay. This is part of it. This is why people are watching Soul Seekers, because the soul seeking journey is not always easy. It just isn't, because when you're truly looking to expand your spirit and expand your soul and connect with that higher part of you, you have this fight going on with your ego that desperately wants you to stay safe and stay where you are. And so that expansion and that resistance to expansion is perfectly normal. And it's part of the whole experience. So you're going to have really amazing experiences, and then you're going to have moments of deep, dark despair where you just don't know if you can get through the day. And we talked about it last week, I think we talked about it last Thursday. It was Mental Health Awareness Day, a World Mental Health Day, and we talked about it. And part of this journey does get challenging. And sometimes, even if you're feeling all stretched out and wonky, you still have to show up. You still have to be a part of your day. And some days that's easier than others. And today might be a little tougher for you, my dear friend, but that's okay. That's why we created Soul Seekers TV, or Soul Seekers TV, is as a way for people to have that support system. And it's also why you and I are in this together, because we get to remind each other of our magic when we're not feeling magical.
Yeah, and it's like an analogy that constantly comes up in this situation is like, when you're heading somewhere you really want to go, and you know how to get there. So you're like confident that you will just like, oh, it's a 4-minute drive. I know the way. I do it with my eyes closed. I'm gonna put the radio on and jam out, and I'll get there. And for whatever reason, there's frickin' construction or whatever, and the road is blocked and you cannot go the way you've always gone. And so you're like, okay, I have a couple choices. I can go back home and just tell myself that I can't get to the beautiful place I wanted to spend my day, Or you can say, I'm going to go a different way. And it might take a little longer and it might be new. And I might need to get on GPS and I might need to ask for help. And I might need to, ask a friend. But like, is it worth detouring to get there, right? So it is. It usually is. And that's okay. Like maybe the long way is like the better way. And maybe you take the long way and there's like really some great magic on that new path and you just would have never found it had you taken the same path. Had the detour not been around to kind of force you into a new road, then you would have never known like all the beauty somewhere else, right?
Yes.
So I think that's like kind of where I'm at, because I want to go where I'm going no matter what. And I want to be on this journey no matter what. And that comes with, it's like, you know what it's like? I just did a cleanse and it's like when you finally decide you're going to clean out your system, before you feel better, you feel like ass, you know? Like, your body is like, whoa. But like, okay, you're aware, you're ready to feel like crap, knowing that you'll feel better afterwards. And I think soul
Mm-hmm.
work is the same. You know that this journey of trying to find your purpose and your calling and your passions and your talents and your gifts and your light, it could be really great, but sometimes you have to go through the dark. And so do you turn all the lights on and say screw it, or do you go through the dark and hope for like a really beautiful room on the other side? And so this is just, and I don't know that it's dark. I wouldn't call it a dark day. It's just been full of questions and you ask the signs to knock you on the head, and then when they do, you're like, ow, that hurt. Don't ever do that again. That's what happened today. I got hit on the head.
And here's the thing, and why it's so important to have a support system and a support team, whether that be friends or family or a professional, whether it be therapist or coach or mentor or somebody that can always remind you of your like of your ultimate mission, because your ultimate mission in this life and who you want to be, it's the whole reason we're here, and it's so easy to get distracted and it's so easy to lose sight of where you're headed because you get so caught up in what's happening. And it's interesting because like the whole purpose is for us to be mindful and live in the now, but sometimes you're drowning in the immediate now, the emergent stuff, and I don't know if you know about those four squares, right? Of like things that are urgent and important, urgent, not important, not urgent, but important, like there's like, that you can sort of
It's like
classify.
cheap, fast,
Yes.
and you pick which, and you can only have two.
Right. Well, no, but in
Right.
this thing that I'm talking about is a way for you to organize your tasks, or like when you're approaching your day. It's like what is urgent and important, and what is important but not urgent. And the idea is to fill your day with things that are important but not urgent, because you're setting yourself up for what you want in the future. And I mean, that's a whole other discussion. But this is why the support system and the team is important, because you need to have people to remind you of what's important, but not necessarily banging down your door in its urgency, right? Like your soul's purpose is important, but you may not feel the urgency because there isn't like a fire alarm going on, or like with an actual fire where you're putting it out, right? And a lot of our days, and I can definitely say for myself, and I think for Linda too, as mothers, so much of our time is putting out fires, and you forget to take some time to invest in maybe a fireproof home or something, like where you are planting the seeds so that the fire isn't happening. Um, and that is connected to you taking the time to connect with yourself. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we find this work so important and so necessary, because it is a part of us planting the seeds. Because when we are connected and expanded on our soul's journey, then everything else just falls into its place in terms of the priority it has in our life, including our family, our children, and our life's purpose.
Yeah, and
Everything kind of fits in a different way.
it goes like this, and it's so funny because I'm processing as we speak, but I'll tell my kids, don't do that. And I'll say it quietly and nicely, at least that's what I think is happening. And I'll say, don't do that. And I'll say, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. Don't talk to me like that, whatever it is. And after about, I don't know, the 15th time, and I know that my patience probably in reality is not, I don't get to 15. But at some point I yell, right? And I scream and I'm like, stop, Allison, stop. And they're like, why are you yelling? I'm like, why am I yelling? I'm yelling because the 32 whispers didn't work,
Yeah.
That's why I'm yelling. And so I think that in talking about this book that we've been doing, one of the themes, right? It's so funny to say this and know that we're saying it stretched out.
Did you
It's not letting me get on Zoom.
it's not, of course.
No, it says launching. So one of the, I'm going to do that. One of the things we've been saying all along is when we get these signs, we're like, is that a big enough sign? Is that a big enough sign? Is that, oh, there we are. Is that a big enough sign? And the earth is whispering, right? The earth is like, look. And you're like, oh, I can't hear you, ignoring you. Not big enough. Not, we're acting just like our children. We're just like, I can't understand a word you're saying. I'm not even, have you been talking this whole time? And then the universe drops a big one. And you're like, why are you shouting at me? And the universe is like, because you're deaf. Because you don't hear me when I talk to you, a-hole. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, did it come to this? Did I miss so many signs along the way that were whispers that you're shouting at me? And it's a loving shout, but it does to me what it does to my kids. It rattles your cage enough to get your attention. It's not going to hurt you. My kids are aware that my unconditional love for them will never allow me to actually hurt them.
Yes.
But my shouting and my presence and my my strict affirmation of I'm serious. I am talking and you're going to listen. Mm-hmm. Definitely rattles their cage and gets their attention. And now I have it. I can speak and get my point across. I feel like that may have been a little bit of what happened today. Like, that's not a sign. That's not a sign. It didn't happen. Where's my moonstone? I didn't catch it. And then it's like, oh, watch this. You want a sign? I'll give you a sign. And now I'm like, ow, what? Don't be so hard. Why don't you be more gentle? And it's like, oh my gosh. Know what you want. Mean what you say what you mean. And we're we come from light, but it takes us a while sometimes to live it. And that was, I think, is part of what our journey here on earth is meant to teach us. Like, it's supposed to be hard to remember, because in that journey of figuring it out again, in a journey of like, wait, we find our way, and each of us finds our way uniquely and beautifully. But just like with our kids, sometimes you say it nicely and sometimes you don't, but all for the sake of making sure that they get a message you believe is important enough for them to hear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.